Este es un mensaje de mí, para esos momentos donde me comí el cuento y me siento inseguro y me siento con miedos. Nada más oír esto, que es que nada más tengo que confiar en la verdad, la verdad. Y cuando estoy totalmente relajado en mi meditación, la verdad se siente súper presente. Y la verdad es que yo estoy en una transición segura y además súper interesante y rica de pasar de mi vida anterior a mi vida nueva, que va a cambiar, va a cambiar.
And wow, did my life change. So I recorded this in the summer of 2019. It must have been a hot summer because you can hear the sound of the fan going in the background. And at the time, I began to notice that I was having these moments of absolute clarity during my meditations. And I felt the urge to write it down because it almost felt like I was going to forget. Like sometimes when I read my journal again, I read the stuff I wrote before and it just didn't feel like it did in the original, like when I was writing it. And so I began to do audio recordings because I needed to record the energy of it, which is super important. If I listened to the audio later, then I would understand what I was talking about. I could go back into that sensation and feel it. And I was talking about trust. I was talking about learning how to trust my process and my truth. That's the way I put it. And at that moment, I was at a very early stage in my transition. I still didn't have the financing to start the Jungle Hub. I still hadn't met Manuela. I still haven't even considered really quitting my job. But I understood that my life as I knew it was going to change dramatically because something big was coming and that I needed to trust that. But yeah, everybody has fears, and most of those fears are unconscious. So you don't know that you have this fear, but you are paralyzed. You're paralyzed, not being able to really do what your heart desires you to do, being stuck in situations that lead really nowhere good for you. So we end up in this loophole where we are so paralyzed about our unconscious fears that we don't even want to look at what it could be that is causing this fear, and much less to want to investigate and go deeper. So we all have fears, and these fears are actually very low frequency. And this is physically keeping us from reaching a state of high frequency of love, like I explained in my previous video. So how do we get out of this? In his first book, Carlos Castaneda told the story about when he met this Mexican shaman, Don Juan Matus. And Don Juan Matus told Carlos that there are 4 main enemies in the path of spiritual awakening. And the first enemy is fear. And that you have to learn not to run away from fear if you want to defeat it. So the way I see it, if we go back to the duality of love versus fear, there are only 2 emotions. Love and fear are the parent emotion of all positive and negative emotions, right? Love is the mother of all high frequency emotions like compassion and authenticity and sincerity. And all of these emotions carry love as the background, right? And fear is the mother of all the negative emotions, of envy, of guilt, of shame, of anger, right? If you are feeling this, you're fearful about something and thinking that, right? So I began to understand that if there is this duality, it seems like there is a bifurcation of what I want to tune into. It seems like at this point there is choice, right? Because I can choose to tune into the love, the way I explained in the previous video, or I can choose to tune into fear when it comes, right? Fear comes, I can, okay, there's a bifurcation right now. And one path, tuning into love, leads to empowerment, health, harmony. And choosing to tune with fear, well, leads to victimization, basically, right? Because when you are in the fear, you are giving your power away. You are assuming that this situation is upon you and there's nothing you can do, right? The victimization state sounds something like something outside or someone did this to me and I am helpless. There is nothing I can do, and now I have difficulties because of this. So if ever in your life you think that your difficulties are due to something that happened externally and that you don't have agency and then you can't do really anything about it, that's missing the opportunity to face your lesson, your purpose in life, right? We come here to this life to experience high density, to experience suffering. And if we are blaming something or someone external of us, we're never going to really face what we need to face to learn something. So how about taking personal responsibility and accepting the challenges as sacred, accepting the fears, giving the fears attention, right? I equate the two words love and attention. Attention is love and love is attention. Where you put your attention, you're putting your love. So this is choosing to tune in with love, right? To give attention to your fears. And that is what is meant when it is said, don't run away from your fears. It means, embrace them. Choose the path of love. So next, I'm going to show some journal entries that I did at the time.
And these are some excerpts from my journal on the topic of fear. In the first one I write, I am lucky to have become conscious of my deepest fears. I train myself not to be afraid of looking at my fears directly in the eye. Because when I face my fear, I begin to understand it. Where is it coming from? What does it want to tell me? And in another one I write, the first step to eliminate your fears is to eliminate the fear of facing your fears. So learn first not to avoid feeling something unpleasant. It's just a feeling. See what happens if you just let it be, without reacting to it and without trying to avoid it. Sit with it. Don't think, just feel.
Yes, relearning how to feel. We deal with this a lot in our meditations, so if you haven't done so already, go check out our meditations. They were recorded live here at the Jungle Hub. So next, I wanted to touch upon this amazing, epic dream that I had where I'm in Jaco Beach. For those of you who know Costa Rica, you know what kind of shady place that is. And I am in this huge, 80s style, huge hotel. And I see this woman behind the counter that is, trying to get my attention and get me to come. She was a clerk there at the hotel lobby. And So I approached her, and she tells me, you are a musician, right? I'm like, yeah. So there is this celebrity woman staying in the hotel, and she had the request to get a teacher that would teach her how to play this song on the guitar and sing. It's for a podcast or a show that she's having that is very important. And she's gonna pay good money. Are you interested? And I was like, wow, sounds interesting. And all of a sudden, as soon as I saw that, this woman transformed into this monster with this like raging bull head and totally dangerous and wanting to attack me. And at that point, I just start running. And from that moment on, it was like a crazy movie. Like I am being chased not just by this demon, but by dozens of otherworldly monsters that are just after me. And I am trying to run behind this and go up these stairs and go down, and I just see them closing in on me. Always more and more and more, 10, 20, 30 of these monsters. Each monster is different in appearance and how it can move around. And I begin to go up a flight of stairs, and it starts to get tight, and all of a sudden I am in this tight place, and I see all these monsters just starting to really get really close to me. I was in fear. And then I look over and I see that right there is a magnificent glowing sword. And I reach out for it, and what happened after that was just a slaying. I was swinging left and right, cutting heads, cutting arms, and I was defeating these monsters. The symbolism of a sword is truth. So basically in this dream I was slaying my fears with the sword of truth. Which truth? Creas lo que creas. Trust your process, trust yourself. Relax, learn to relax physically and surrender control to divine guidance. It's been a pleasure to tell this story. It's very dear to me. I hope to see you in the next chapter. Bye-bye.